DC movies, what I think. Hello and welcome to this week's video. Now, a year or so ago I did a video talking about Marvel movies. I did predominantly leave that to just the MCU, but this time around I'm going to do more than just the DCEU. I'm going to cover all the movies that have been released based on DC comic properties, at least according to Wikipedia. Because let's face it, there's not really much in the DCEU, and most of them I didn't watch anyway, so that would be a quick and very boring video. So let's go and do this. Okay, according to Wikipedia, the first one was actually a 1951 Superman movie called Superman and the Mole Men, which was actually a backdoor pilot for the 50s Adventures of Superman TV show. I've never seen it, needless to say. The next one was the 1966 Batman, which was obviously from the 60s TV series. I've seen the 60s show. I don't know whether I've ever seen the movie. I watched the 60s show sometimes as a kid. I don't know whether I've ever seen the movie, to be honest with you. Anyway, probably the one that's the first real proper one is, of course, the 1978 Superman, which is a classic. My personal favourite is the next one, which is the 1980 Superman 2. There's this whole director's cut thing with Richard Donner. I didn't even know Richard Donner had anything to do with it, to be honest with you. I always thought it was a Richard Lester movie. To be honest, I loved the original Superman 2, so I'm not particularly interested in watching a different version of it. I've always loved Superman 2. It's one of my favourite movies as a kid that I watched endlessly. They're just iconic, dude. Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. Terrence Stamp will always be Zod. You know, it's iconic stuff. Next up was 1982 Swamp Thing. I've heard of this. That was Wes Craven, wasn't it? I've never actually seen it. Next up was 1983 Superman 3, which I've seen, but obviously not for a long time. I always liked it. I know it's got a bad reputation. I always enjoyed it as a kid anyway, so maybe I should watch it again. Then there was Supergirl in 1984. I've seen that. It's not very good. I watched it back in the day. I remember watching it on TV, either as a kid or as a teenager. And I actually picked up a Blu-ray a few years ago, and yeah, it's still not very good. Oh dear. Next up is 1987 Superman 4, which is of course awful. I haven't seen that for decades, but I remember it being awful. 1989 is the return of Swamp Thing. Never seen the first one, let alone the second one. And of course the big one was Batman, which I saw at the cinema back in the day in 1989. Loved it then, loved it now. Still one of my top 2 Batman movies. The other one of my top 2 Batman movies is 1992's Batman Returns. I love those movies. I loved Michael Keaton's Batman. I loved the whole thing, Tim Burton's vision for it, all of the actors, Nicholson, DeVito, etc. I love those 2 movies. I was gutted when the series just got fucked over and Tim Burton went and Keaton went, and it just turned into what I'm about to talk about. The next one is 1995's Batman Forever. I did not like it at the time. It was very disappointing after 2 great Batman movies, and it just turned into piss, basically. I saw it again recently. It's still crap. 1997 was the last of this supposed series with Batman and Robin, which was the absolute nadir. It still pisses me off, even decades later, that they did what they did. Just so ridiculous. I wanted to see more Batman movies with Burton and Keaton, not this fucking joke. Honestly, that kind of killed my interest in Batman well, actually, no, I don't think I've ever regained it. Oh well, there you go. 1997 also saw a movie called Steel come out, which is apparently based on a DC movie. I have no idea what the hell it is. Never heard of it. Certainly never seen it. Oh well. It then took a long time for any more, understandably. 2004's Catwoman. Oh dear, yes, I saw that at the cinema. I'm presuming it's the Halle Berry one. Yeah, it was rubbish. I also have to be honest. I found I liked Halle Berry more as the sweet mousy girl next door type she was in the first half than the strutting sex bomb of the second half. That was like just so eye-rollingly tedious. But maybe that's just me. There you go. 2005, Constantine. That's the Keanu Reeves one. I don't think I've ever seen it. And Batman Begins. Now, this is an odd one, and I have no doubt this will get me in trouble. I liked Batman Begins at the cinema. I thought it was pretty good. Not as good as the Burton ones, but certainly light years ahead of the Schumacher crap. But to be honest, I've never been able to sit through it since. I bought it on DVD and tried watching it again a couple of years later. I just found it really boring to sit through at home. I just couldn't be arsed. Well, Superman Returns 2006. I thought it was later than that. I've never seen Superman Returns. It just seems a really peculiar thing to do because it's supposed to be a sequel to the Reeve movies, isn't it? Except there's nobody in it that's got anything to do with the Reeve movies. I don't understand. I just don't understand the logic behind that. I really don't. Do a Superman movie, reboot Superman. But why would you make it a continuation to a previous trilogy, a previous series of movies that you don't have any of the actual actors in? What's the fucking point of that? That just seems completely bonkers to me, and it just turned me right off. And it's not like I was, not willing to like have another Superman or something like that, because I was watching Smallville by then, and I was fine with that. And I mean, I even watched Lois and Clark in the 90s, so I was fine with that. But the idea that this was supposed to be a continuation of the Reeve movies, just without any Reeve or anybody else, what? No, that's just weird. 2008 was The Dark Knight. I know everybody orgasms over The Dark Knight, and it's heresy to say anything otherwise. Because I'd kind of gone off Batman Begins in the interim, I didn't bother going to the cinema with it. I rented it from the video shop back in those long gone days. I thought it was boring as fuck, to be honest. I'm sorry. That just bored the shit out of me, that movie. Oh dear. The next one was 2009's Watchmen. I've never seen it. 2010's Jonah Hex. I've never seen it. 2011's Green Lantern. I've never seen it. I hear it's terrible. Man, isn't there two versions of that? I'm not sure which one that is. I think I rented one version of it and turned it off. Is that the Ryan Reynolds one or the Seth Rogen one, or is that the same thing? I don't know. 2012 was The Dark Knight Rises. I think I rented this despite the fact I didn't like the last one, and I think I turned this off. I didn't even sit through the whole thing. I thought it was just boring as fuck again. I don't know. I could never quite get on with Christopher Bale's Batman either. I don't know. There's just something about Christopher Bale I find very cold, and that might make him all right as a villain, but I don't see him as the leading man somehow. Sorry. 2013's Man of Steel. I've never seen it. I watched the trailer. I was reasonably interested in the idea of a new Superman, especially a new one that wasn't pretending to be Christopher Reeve movie without Christopher Reeve in it. But all the trailers for it just looked so kind of dark and depressing and absolutely nothing to do with anything I recognized as Superman. And I've heard all the stories about what it is and all the rest of it. I'm not very interested. I did rent, much to my unfortunate, 2016's Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. I turned it off after 45 minutes. I think the main reason I rented it when I wasn't at all interested in Man of Steel was because I thought Ben Affleck wasn't a bad choice for Batman. I mean, I'm sorry, no one's ever going to top Michael Keaton for me, but Ben Affleck seemed to me to fit the mold and also be a bit more of a likable leading man than Christopher Bale was, so I could kind of see that working. So I rented it out of curiosity. I turned it off after 45 minutes. It was literally boring the living shit out of me. So boring. And there was Suicide Squad, which I never bothered with. Because everybody said it was crap, and it did whatever. Wonder Woman in 2017, I never saw it. Justice League, I never saw it. The reviews certainly for the latter were appalling, and I'm like, no, don't care. 2018 Aquaman, now I never saw it. It just never looked remotely appealing. The trailers just look like one big CGI fest, and no, I can do without that, thank you. Two in 2019, both of which I actually saw. Shazam. I actually liked Shazam. I rented it. I didn't go to the cinema, but I rented it, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought it was quite enjoyable. It kind of had a possibly because of the young cast. They had a kind of an 80s movie vibe to it with the fantasy, because obviously there were a lot of 80s movies like Goonies and stuff like that had kids getting involved in these fantastic adventures. It had that kind of a feel to it, and I rather liked it. It was rather enjoyable. The other one was Joker, which I saw at the cinema, and I thought was very good. It's not one I've seen since. I don't think it would be one I'd want to see since, but it was very good in general. 2020 Birds of Prey, never saw it. Looked terrible, sounds terrible. And Wonder Woman 1984, nope. 2021 was the Suicide Squad. I rented this because it was the James Gunn version, and I liked the Guardians movies. I still didn't like this. I think I ended up turning it off after 45 minutes or something. It just annoyed the shit out of me. Annoyed and bored the shit out of me, sorry. 2022, there were 4 in 2022, no, 3, 2, I don't know. 2, oh. The Batman, well, these titles are just so original. I rented this on DVD. I turned it off after 45 minutes. Just absolute insomnia cures. I'm so bored of these Batman movies that take it so fucking seriously and try to be these gritty thrillers set in the real world. It's like it's a movie about a guy who dresses up like a fucking bat to beat up bad guys. You are allowed a bit of a sense of fun. We don't want to go as far as the ridiculous Schumacher movies, but you are allowed to have some fun with this. This endless darkness just bores the shit out of me. The other one was Black Adam, which I never bothered with. 2023, there were 4. Shazam Fury of the Gods. I never saw it. I was moderately interested in a Shazam sequel because I liked the first one, but the trailers looked like shit and seemed to focus more on the adults rather than the kids who made the first one so charming, and all the reviews were just absolutely fucking appalling, so I'm like, yeah, never mind. The Flash, I've never seen it. I was moderately interested in it because obviously Michael Keaton was back as Batman. I was narked from the start that Michael Keaton was back as Batman as a side character in somebody else's fucking movie instead of getting his own fucking movie. But I probably still would have seen it for him until I heard what ended up happening to him. And I'm like, no, I'm out. No, I don't want to see that. No. Blue Beetle, not seen. Looks and sounds thoroughly generic. Simply cannot be arsed. Aquaman 2, I wasn't interested in the first one, so I'm certainly not interested in the second. I'm sorry, the DCEU, as it was called, Zack Snyder, yeah, it's complete shite, I'm sorry. There's like 2 decent movies. There's like 1 decent movie in the whole thing, which was the first Shazam. Is that right? Just going back. Yeah, there's like 1 movie that I liked that I was interested enough to watch and enjoyed, and that was the first Shazam, and the rest of them was either didn't interest or I tried and were just boring as fuck. Yeah. I mean, the Suicide Squad casts a bit of doubt on James Gunn for me, but I'm willing to give his new DC a chance. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit about the Snyder nonsense. He's not good. I'm sorry if I'm breaking any shocking taboos here. He's not good. And they really fucked up that. I just hope they make some decent movies. I just hope they make Superman fun again. I hope they make Batman fun again. And just make some fun movies without all the modern crap and without trying to take everything so seriously that there's no bloody fun anymore. It's like, these are fucking comics movies, for Christ's sake. Anyway, there's only one out this year, which is the Joker sequel. I may or may not see that. I'll probably end up waiting, to be honest. I don't really see me going to the cinema for it. Sequel seems kind of unnecessary, and a quasi-musical one as well, really. The trailer didn't particularly inspire me either, unlike a lot of other people, so I'll wait and see what the reviews are like. And that's it. Obviously, there's supposed to be Superman coming in the next couple of years, a new Superman. I'll give it a shot. We'll see what it's like. Can't be any worse than the last bunch. Anyway, that's my assessment of the movies made based on DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.